please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Number 2, we will call to order the March 5th, 2026 Village Board meeting. Roll call shows all trustees are present. Jim is on the phone. All staff is present, and our attorney Ashley is present. Number 4, agenda changes. Are there any? 5, consent agenda. A, February 5th, 2026 regular board meeting minutes. B, February 19th, 2026 regular board meeting minutes. C, licenses and permits as presented. And D, presentation of accounts and other claims against the village. If there are no questions, I would need a motion to accept.
I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda.
I'll second.
Roll call. Carrie?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, then 6, pre-registered citizens to be heard. Are there any?
Yes, Amy Hagan, 208 West Main Street.
Hello. So my name is Amy Hagan. I am the owner of P413 Wine and Spirits Lounge located at 208 West Main Street here in Hortonville. I just wanted to kind of introduce myself and the establishment and answer any questions that someone may have. But I do feel it's important for Hortonville to know P413's vision, and it's to create an upscale yet welcoming space where adults in the community can gather and enjoy creative wines, handcrafted cocktails, premium spirits, and charcuterie boards, as well as also some small plates and a relaxed lounge atmosphere. Our goal is to provide a responsible and community-focused establishment that enhances Main Street and offers a place for connection, conversation, and also celebration. We are committed to responsible alcohol service, properly trained staffing, and maintaining a safe and respectful environment for our guests and the community. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Monica Hager, 225 Lake Shore Drive.
Hi. I attended the meeting on Tuesday about stormwater runoff, and that affects Lakeview and Lake Shore Drive. And I've been contacting my daughter. She grew up here, and she knows the issue because she used to play in the ditch, play hockey with her sister when that would freeze over. And she does this for a living. She lives in Minnesota now. And she looked up the maps of Hortonville. And this area is a FEMA flood hazard zone. It's not a flood zone per se, but it's a hazard zone. And she said that that area is has a 0.2% chance of flooding every year. And she couldn't believe how high the water table is. She says it's 0 to 2 feet. She said that's high. And we discussed in that meeting about cleaning out that where all the yards meet in that drain off ditch. And we discussed about the pipe was too small. And she agreed that it should have a different pipe. And she said it doesn't matter if we clean that all out. If we have a wet year or a big rainfall, like 3-4 inches, it's still going to flood even though we clean it out. And it was brought to the meeting that maybe they should, this was the drastic part, they got that in the end, like it would cost like $200,000 to grade that, and it's only like a 3-foot grade down to where that pipe is. But then all 29 residents would have to suck up the cost. paid $9,000. My basement did flood. I had B&B basement repair come in, and I have a trench in my basement now, so I protected my basement, and I have a 25-year warranty on it. And I have a sump pump, a battery backup, and I have a generator in case it storms. Well, sorry. She said that we can make small changes by installing rain gardens and plant native plants, reduce impervious surfaces like plastic or concrete, if anybody has like plastic back there under their landscaping so that the water can drain down in there. She said use rain barrels, and that came up. They had that, to have rain barrels off of your gutter system. And she said that was a good idea, and she said she believes that's an invasive grass back there, and she said there is an aquatic-friendly herbicide to spray on the grass, but it needs to be applied by a certified chemical person. Like when they go to school, they gotta learn all that because it's gotta be sprayed and done proper way. She's really big on saving the earth and the planet and stuff, so she doesn't want any of that going into the lake or anything. So then she said that the water will flow around plants and down to the roots of the native plants. It takes like 2 to 3 years to get those plants like established to go down there, but it's just going to take time. And she suggested having a setback for trees because their roots, it would be like, she suggested 20 feet because the roots will spread. There's like a 10-foot area they're going to mark it off for all residents. And that 10-foot needs to get that invasive grass out of there and the sediment and the trees. And then she still thinks that if you plant any larger trees, that should be a 20-foot setback because of the roots. And she says she sees this all the time in her job. And she asked me if it was complaint-based or state regulation. And I told her it's complaint-based. And she said she sees that residents are always trying to fit Mother Nature into their plans, how they want their yards to look and stuff. But she says you can't. You gotta, whatever Mother Nature does, you gotta work around her because, like it was brought up at the meeting, water's gonna find a way to get in. And we have a lot of springs and stuff back there. And so, because of the springs and the high water table and the flood hazard zone, we're always gonna be wet back there. And I guess it's just part of being a homeowner back there that when you buy back there and we're by the lake, it's gonna be wet. And so, a couple people said, well, if we mow it and keep it dry and stuff, but when I talked to her, she said mowing's probably the worst because when the sun hits it and the ground gets hard, and that water's got to penetrate. You need those plants, native plants in there and stuff to keep that natural, like a natural habitat. And so, I don't know. I know there's just a couple people like against. They want it like graded or whatever, but they bought that property knowing that there's a ditch back there. Like I said, I've already paid a lot of money just to keep my basement dry. I know a lot of people have 2 sump pumps to keep their basements dry. So I just wanted to be heard because she does this every day for a living. That's why I called her and asked her, about this, and she could pull it out. She was telling me all this, and I'm slow down when I write this down, but I just wanted it heard that my side or other residents, I can't imagine 27 other residents paying to get that grading done just so a couple people can mow their lawn after their paintings in the spring. That's just all I had to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 7, committee reports. There are none. Number 8, unfinished business from previous meetings. There is none. 9, new business. A, discussion and possible action on resolution R-04-26, allocation of 2025 reserve funds.
So this is just basically, the allocations from last year's income and for future projects, just based on our policies internally with reserve funds. Cemetery prep care fees going into our cemetery investment fund. Is there any questions on any of these individual reserve funds?
Anyone have questions?
Is this just notifying us what those reserve funds are? There was nothing like majorly changed or anything? Or?
So the resolution is just adding those funds in. The stuff before it was the current funds, just kind of showing you, because I think it's been a while since you've seen it. So I wanted to give you guys an update of what they actually look like currently. Those funds that are shown in here are without that new resolution. That new resolution would add obviously some more income to those funds. But yeah.
Okay. All right, and
Any
then
other questions?
I'll make a motion to
Okay.
approve R-4-26, the resolution amending current reserve funds.
I'll second.
Roll call, Carrie?
Aye.
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 Jim?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, B, discussion and possible action on ADA doorway upgrades.
So this is something that came out of, Nathan and I met with the senior committee, and they talked about how the current door system where the buttons are high and hard to access, and how the doors are hard to open, especially when there's a pressure change. So we discussed this at our last Public Facilities Committee meeting, and it was brought up to bring to the board. We do have a quote from Omniglass to lower those buttons and also have the doors be able to automatically open once they're pulled on, so there's some help for people that are trying to open them. And that would be $23.75 for them to do that. We don't currently.
Aaron, can you say that again? Somebody's coughing in the microphone.
Yeah. So
pretty loud and I can't hear.
the quote to have that done would be $2,375. We didn't currently budget for it. There is in those reserve funds that were just up $1,700 left from a municipal building donation reserve fund that could be used for it.
Is that just for the one entrance then?
No.
3,
It'd be the library entrance though, wouldn't it?
library and the doors outside.
But it would just be the entrance.
So both doors, both exterior doors and the library door then?
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions?
We did talk about this at Public Facilities the other night, and the group as a whole for Public Facilities, asked questions and things. I was in Greenville the other night and opened their doors to the municipal building. I couldn't believe how easy it was to open the doors. So whatever, I just was kind of amazed. So I actually think this is a good thing, because I know that these can be very difficult to open.
If no other questions, we would need a motion.
I would make a motion to accept Omni-Glass and Paint quote for upgrading for ADA doorway upgrades for $23.75.
I'll second that.
Roll call, Carrie?
Aye.
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 Jim?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. C, discussion and possible action on 76 and JJ detour route.
This was asked to be on the agenda by Julie
Yeah.
for the detour.
So I went to the informational meeting the other night with the state DOT and the engineers, the project engineers, and, because I drive that road every day. But what I learned was, and in the packet here, what I learned was starting June 1st, when the intersection of JJ and 76 is closed to make way for that roundabout, the anticipated detour was supposed to go along 15, then to Double J, down Main Street, and then take a right on Nash, going north on M, and then hit Highway S. I had asked one of the engineers prior to the meeting started, I asked, so are you aware that this is going to be under construction? He says, yes, we're aware. He says, we've now moved it to Oak Street. So the map that's still on the DOT website still shows this map here. And I get it that this doesn't start until June 1st. The anticipated completion of this is end of October, early November. We have summer school happening this summer at the middle school and elementary school. And then we have school starting September, early September, that would go from September, October, and possibly into November. I had some concerns over switching it to Oak Street, that we're taking state highway detour and bringing it onto a county road, which generally it goes to state or county, but then now we're going municipal. Oak Street has a no through truck zone sign. It's a school zone, there's parking on both sides. And then we're also adding additional traffic to our wonky three-way stop. So I asked Nathan to put it on the board because I feel like at least we should talk about this, and if we're fine with this, then we're fine with this. But if we're not, then I think we need to ask the DOT to do the appropriate, in my opinion, detour of Double J to State Highway 15, and I know it's further out, but State Highway 45 to State Highway 54. The locals will find a local way around, but delivery drivers and anybody that's using any kind of GPS will follow the detour. And I'm not sure through a school zone is the appropriate place.
And also you mentioned the buses unload and load there.
So Oak
And
Street.
there is such a cluster.
That
After
isn't
school.
gonna be an issue because they're not going during the school year.
But they are.
They aren't. It's ending in August 31st, because that was the one thing we did say to them when they asked. We said our school starts, in September, so they need to make it during that window. That's what we were told and they would do. We were told recently from them that it was extended until October. So then they talked to the county to see if they can get that intersection done before then, so that would be open on basically the Nash and Main Street intersection before August. So that's their plan right
That's their plan, but that's
their
a
plan.
county project, and this is a state project.
now. Right. Regardless, they've told me that if they can't get there, their plan would be to move it out to that 45, 54. But
Are we gonna temporarily remove the no through truck on Oak Street from that June 1st to end of August? I guess those are my concerns of, there's a no truck through, there's a school zone, and if you're on Cedar Street and you're trying to turn and everyone's parked along Oak Street, you can't see.
it's only a school zone if children are present. And that's the reason we use that route rather than having them go through the truck route, is because the truck route is actually going through where there is children
I
present
know.
by the elementary and middle school. So is it ideal? No, but the goal was to work with the state in order to find the best route. Best route is gonna be Oak Street during the summertime. Basically, we told them what date that the school is out, and their plan is to basically after that date, then have it go through there.
But then during that time frame, could we look at removing that no truck route? Because it's just a square sign that's got a truck in it, big circle with an X. It doesn't say because it's a school zone.
Right.
We'd have to remove that, and can we look at maybe removing some of the parking maybe from one side? to make it a little wider. I think of when you're on Cedar Street and you've got to turn right or left onto Oak Street. If there's cars parked along Oak Street on either side, it's nearly impossible to pull up from that intersection. And now we're going to add extra traffic. Again, locals are going to find their own way through. I'm a local, I'm going to find my own way to work, right? But anybody who's a delivery driver or any of these, like I think of like Amazon, I think of any deliveries or anybody taking the actual detour, can we make it wider? Can we do something temporarily?
Can we do no parking during construction, during the detour?
If you wanted to, I mean, typically in the summer, you don't see parking on the other side of the buses.
But it's a possibility.
It's rare.
And if
it's,
we end
you
up
guys
with
can do
rain
whatever
days,
you want.
we're gonna
If you guys
have a
wanna-
mess.
If you guys want to block off parking on the streets, you can do that anywhere. It doesn't matter where you do it.
I'm just trying to go into this with our eyes wide open.
I think, I personally don't believe there's gonna be as much traffic coming through as we may think, but
Is the village gonna have any construction going on at that time? Where traffic's gonna be, parking traffic is gonna be changed at all during this?
well, yeah, I mean, we're gonna have Main Street
Right.
going on.
The locals are gonna be avoiding certain parts of the Main Street downtown, and they're gonna be taking Oak Street. You know, to get to Highway M, like if you're local, you're probably gonna take Oak Street versus taking Nash, because that's gonna be ripped up.
Yeah, I guess it really depends on where you're coming from, but Warner's another option.
If I have to get to a board meeting, I'm not taking a right out of my driveway, I'm likely taking a left and taking over. That's what I'm trying to say is,
Right.
people are generally, if it's ripped up, they're gonna avoid the ripped up part. I'm just, again, I went to the informational meeting because I drive the route on my way to work, not realizing that I was stumbling upon the village thing, and then I realized that we're impacted by this. If we didn't have construction, it wouldn't be a big deal.
Well, initially, this project was slated for 25,
Yeah.
so that wasn't
No,
going to be a deal.
yeah, that whole intersection was supposed to be done last
So-
year.
So, why is that road, designated as a no truck route?
I think because of the school zone,
It's not, they're
Right.
usually not built to truck standards, basically, so the roads aren't really that well structured to handle the heavy weights, is really what it is. So Warner Street is built different so that it can handle heavier trucks, for the most part, is my understanding, at least from a public works standpoint.
Chief, do you have any input on this?
Yeah, I would just add that, I mean, obviously, I think that's true that the roads are built different, but then there's safety factors, and I'm sure that we enacted things at one time or another that we
There's
didn't want
reason.
trucks there because of school zones. I don't know the history on that, but it would just, common sense rule would probably apply there, that we didn't want trucks going through there. Because that's always been,
It's always been a no truck zone as long as I can remember. And I always thought it was because of the school zone,
yeah.
and obviously it's built differently. Is part of Oak Street new right now?
Yes,
New pavement and
a
stuff?
portion of it is
Okay.
newer. 2021.
Okay.
I mean, how much is the truck traffic gonna affect the condition of that road, that section of roadway?
You wouldn't be able to really tell as of right now what type of impact it would actually have. The plan is to basically do monitoring and record, basically take photos of what the pavement looks like before, which our staff knows about already, basically, and if there is any damage, they would be required to fix it.
The one thing I was really surprised of is when I asked the engineers about Oak Street, the gentleman I spoke to said they were looking on Google Maps. And I actually looked up the picture of Google Maps, and I think the Kiwanis or the Knights of Columbus were doing a rock fry at the time, and Oak Street just looks terrible on Google Maps. So I mean, it was like the worst case scenario, and it was still put in as a detour. I worry more about, like, if you're on Cedar, you're trying to turn, you have limited visibility now, and now you've got extra traffic. Locals are going to be taking that way. I think if we could just do temporarily no parking, even on, what is it, the west side, just to make it a little wider there. There's no business, well, there's the church, but the church has a parking lot,
Right.
all right? But there's no businesses, so it affects the residents on that street, but it's such a temporary time frame. But now, all of a sudden, let's say the intersection in Hortonville isn't done by the end of August. They said they're gonna reroute it to the state highway, to state highway, to state highway, which would make sense during school time. Then do we need, like, who brings this up again? Because this is what's out on their website. This is what they handed out as information pamphlets and.
I told them that as long as, basically, depending on what the board says tonight, and then basically, as long as we stay in contact with them and they keep us up to date on where they're at, we don't have if the board doesn't have a problem with it, there's not gonna be a problem with it in general. But if, you know, you need to stay in contact with us, and I have his number from basically the 15 bypass that was done. It's the same head.
Yeah, and
So-
I signed up to the weekly emails too, but this board though has the ability to do like a no parking, right? And then do we have the ability to say to the state, if you wanna use this as a route, that if there is damage, like what leg do we stand on to get any type of reimbursement for repair? I don't know what leg we stand on. That's maybe more of a legal question. I don't know how that works. Because they're not doing it's a state highway detour, which normally sticks to a county or state, but now we're doing like a municipal street, which is
Right.
different.
I will say in the past, though, they have come in and fixed things that
Jan, do you have
happened.
something to say?
I can just add, what typically is done on those state projects, the state will ride with somebody from the village, they'll log that road, which means look at the road conditions, I'd say the village should videotape it, and then after the project is done, then they do a second pass back and forth and inspect the pavement.
Okay.
In Wasaki, like 3 years ago, they did all of 141 and put it on First Avenue, and they ended up researching that for the village of Wasaki. So that's how it goes, but it's up to the village.
So currently there is parking from Main to town on both sides. I have concerns about the parking on the east side, because this is a picture of the Google Maps. That's how close the cars are parked to that intersection. It's already a tight intersection. And that's even with the yellow line moved over. I don't know what do we want to propose for potentially doing some no parking here. Because I think from Main to town, that's really narrow there.
Very narrow there.
Very narrow.
It
It's
is.
already hard for people to take a right turn there to begin with, much less if you're not familiar with the road too. And then no parking from like Cedar to Nash on the west side.
There's already partial, I think, no parking in front of the church from Main, halfway up to the church's parking lot there.
No,
And then starting there's no parking, there's a section.
a
somewhere
small
already.
section, but not much.
Yeah, no, I know, but
Just
I mean,
right
if we
before
just
the stop
extended,
sign.
if we extended it on that same side, from Main
Where the
up.
center line was moved over.
And I tried driving it, but then there were cars parked down there as I was trying to figure out. But I just think if we're gonna route a state highway detour through this, we can do some no parking.
I would say no parking on the west side.
What about the east side from Main to town? Look at how close
Are we
this.
gonna hinder buses?
Well, that's the problem.
Just administrators.
This administration.
Not me.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's who parks on the right-hand side when the buses are not in, because that's the only time it should be going through is when.
No, I'm talking like from Main to town. So from Main to town, like in front of that health center
Yeah.
type of thing. Look how tight that is.
It is tight. I travel it, I know.
So, I don't want to be a squeaky wheel, but I was taken aback the other night when I left there and I went, okay, well, we need to sort this out because I would rather know ahead of time exactly what we're doing instead of trying to put out a fire later.
So do you want us to bring back temporary ordinance change to have no parking on either side for the months of June 5th, from June 5th to August 31st.
Why do you have to do an ordinance change to do it temporary?
I don't know exactly what we'd have to do. I'd have to talk to them.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
But
that, and I don't know if I
know
wanna
what
put,
you're requesting,
I
but
mean, it depends on what's in your code now.
and I don't know if I'd wanna put a specific date. Because let's say I know it would
I
end
would-
August 31st, that I do know.
right,
But I thought they told us June 1st was,
right. And I was on the phone with him with Brian, and we talked to them about the school end date, or the school end date, in June. And he said
Okay.
it's June 5th, and he
Okay.
said that's fine. We're not planning on really starting with road closures until probably mid-June anyway. It's kind of what he was saying, like around the teens, I think I remember him talking about.
okay, so I'm gonna ask the question too, because summer school is generally elementary and middle school, but there are some high school, and are they the types of students that would be bused, that might need to use we also have like a handicap loading zone. We have a handicap loading zone along Oak Street, and we can't, I mean, obviously there's no parking there, but we would wanna make sure that that's available, because I think some of the summer school programming might affect some of the bus unload and load and unload. I think of remedial stuff going on at the high school too.
Yeah, it may. I mean, that's something that we could bring back.
Maybe I think,
I could chat with them and just find out how important those access points are off of Oak.
because we're assuming summer school means elementary and middle, but I do know that there's some
Correct.
high school programming going on too. That would make me feel like 1,000 times better, knowing that we've got this, that we cut it off at the head here. So,
Do we need a motion? Or are we bringing this back?
I don't think you can make a motion right now.
No?
You would need something that's.
to make a motion on, but just, yeah, it says discussion and action, and so we're just directing,
Well, staff will just
Something.
work with the attorney to get what needs to be done to accomplish what you want.
thank you.
Okay, we will move to 10, report of village officials. A, clerk treasurer, Jane.
My report was in the packet.
Does anyone have questions for Jane?
I do.
Okay.
So because it's been back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and like laws, and I know I asked you, but I wanna say the
Regarding?
meeting. Absentee ballots.
Okay.
So absentee ballots can be mailed back, but they can also be dropped off here in
Yes.
the drop box, and they can also be handed to someone in the admin,
Yes.
correct? Okay. But there is no outside box, anything like
No.
that, it's just this interior box, but it's the one by the pantry.
Yes.
Good deal, thank you.
Okay, we'll move to B, director of public works, Aaron.
My report's in the packet.
Any questions for Aaron? Okay, we'll move to C, police chief, Brian.
So reports in the packets, I did note in there that we did receive a grant from Department of Transportation, or a PBT, preliminary breath testing unit from Department of Transportation. It's like a $700 item that, helps us out replace some of our old equipment, so that was very helpful. Officer Hayden filled that out. Incidents have been up, as you can see, which has kept us busy, and just kind of working on some training stuff, just getting everybody, ensuring that everybody's got their training hours in the fiscal year for that ends at the end of June, so just making sure we're up to date with that. That's it.
I do have one question.
Yeah.
You have on here that you did have a meeting about the pickup and drop off and safety concerns.
Yeah.
It is awful. What have you determined to do about that?
Yeah, so Tom Ellenbecker and I went around, and this really followed the Sussex-Hamilton tragedy, probably been a year or two ago, where a student gets killed near a bus drop-off pickup spot. So we've gone around to each of our buildings and just kind of assessed more of the bus pickup drop-off than just the general. I think some of the things that we see are just, additional supervision, school supervision out there. I think we continue, this has been we've talked about this for years, right, with the pickup and drop-off situation, and I think a lot of it comes down to a change of a lot more folks drive their kids to school than we've ever seen before, an increase the student population. So I think we're just continually trying to bring this back to our quarterly safety meetings to say, how do we do better? I will say on the Hortonville side, when I think of Hortonville Elementary, I know Jared over there has made some adjustments to have his pickup drop off more in that back section by the gymnasium there to keep more people off the road. But I know HMS continues to be an issue with vehicles backed up. The other day I was out there almost to Main Street. You know, that line continues to grow there, and so I think just continuing to try to come up with some strategies to how to fix this. I mean, it's wild for me to now think back that before staggered starts, we had all those schools coming in and releasing at the same time. So I think we're trying to find remedies to fix it, but as you increase student population and you increase, you know, those folks that pick up their kids and drop off their kids, it's a continuous challenge, I would say.
I guess it's sad to see these people the buses can't get up there with handicapped children. And if we had an emergency, that a fire truck, an ambulance, anything, these people do not move for nothing. I mean, they just sit in that car with that child until they figure it's time for that child to walk in, and they don't move for those buses or anything. And it's just very sad, because now you have teachers standing out there in the cold to meet these children, and they can't get in.
I know, I think it's good to bring the topic up outside of just the school, but I do know that, like you said, it's I don't know if it's the greatest answer, it's just that it is a continuous conversation there of, you know, some of these facilities weren't built for the populations that we have, and that's not always the right answer. It's what are we doing with it? I think the staggered starts have helped tremendously with safety on the streets and around the schools, but you know, the way that Hortonville Middle School was built with that loop in the front probably wasn't built for 2026. So I think just coming up with ideas of what to do with all that extra traffic out there, and just a lot of impatience too.
Is there something we as a village board though could do? Because one of the biggest problems when I was dropping my kids off, especially middle school, is you get the parents that stop at the four-way stop, and then they stop, let their kids out at the four-way stop to avoid the loop.
We try to enforce that as much.
How is it even enforceable?
It is. I mean, and we send out newsletters to our parents saying don't do that.
It's dangerous, but is there something that we can do though as a board that would make that?
No, I mean, and there's a lot of discussion there. I mean, sometimes I contemplated what does Warner Street look like just as a school only type traffic, you know, at those types of times. I mean, but that's a big ask, and so I think it's just what does that look like, the future of that? Because I think, again, you can do so much with ideas and use different strategies, but I just don't know that we can control the growth and the amount of parents that pick up and drop off. That's our challenge. So what are we going to respond with? And, you know, maybe that is an idea of, you know, the boards getting together or forming a committee on it, because it, you know, what was happening in Greenville Elementary and Greenville Middle was somewhat remedied by all the new construction over there and how they kind of rerouted all of that traffic, and it's much better. You know, that may be something that we need to look towards.
Or something that has a little teeth, that if you're letting your child out in the middle of a four-way stop, that's now everyone else is confused or not sure if they should go or whatever, and your kid's darting out into traffic, that's a problem.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, I feel like supervision out there though is really important too, and that's something that we talked about, was having folks out there to prevent that or get license plates or report that back to us so we can at least look into those issues. Is what we do find is that it's a lot of the repeat.
Oh, it is.
You know, and so getting after those repeat folks help. But yeah,
it was the same.
I don't have a clean answer for you other than, you know, I think we just try to continue to go out there and make sure that we're doing something and coming up with some strategies to bring back to that committee. Like you said, the Jared, that helped significantly when because we used to do that pickup drop off right in the front of the building, and he moved that line all the way down to the gymnasium just to keep some of those folks off of the road. But yeah, when I drive down Warner Street and I see traffic all the way to Main Street, that's not good for anything. And we have a lot of people stopping at those intersections and letting people out, and that creates a whole new issue. And so continuous project.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Cool. We will go to D, Library Director, Ally.
I spoke a lot last week, so I will not this time.
And then we'll go to E, Attorney Ashley.
I plan to be here for your next meeting and I'm gone for a little while.
It's like a cyclical thing.
Yeah, every 2 years. Actually, I was just telling a story about my first time here. I was 37 weeks pregnant with my first, and I was so scared that my mother was going to break me up, so I was going to meet everyone. But so hopefully I will be here for your next meeting, and I'm gone. Tyler will be filling in for meetings for me. We also have the recently retired city attorney for Oshkosh coming to fill in for me and my work while I'm gone. So she might be here and or she might be working with some of your staff as items come up. She manned a really big ship for a long time and everyone will be in excellent hands. But that's my plan.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll go to F, Administrator, Nathan.
Didn't have a report for the packet. I was out of town on vacation last week. This week kind of working on, I did get the draft agreement with the WEDC for the Vibrant Spaces grant that we got. We were awarded $50,000 for the Memorial Square in the downtown. So that should be coming to the next meeting probably for approval.
That's good to hear.
And just one question. Why was the board omitted from the Village Voice?
That was a clerical error for the most part. Part of the thought process at the time was basically due to the transition of board members and not knowing who's coming in for some of the months, but yeah, that was a error.
Yeah, I had the same question because I know when they call the village office, if somebody has a question or a concern, they're told to contact board members. Well, then the board members aren't on the Village Voice, but I do have to commend, I appreciate the fact that the garbage and recycling schedule for the entire 12 months was put out, because we literally rip that page out and stick it in the inside of our cabinet. So I have to say kudos to finally getting that 12-hour or 12-month. But yeah, the board members, I think that regardless of election time, I think it's got to be on there.
Yeah, that was addressed prior to any message I got from you. Sorry I didn't respond, but there was some errors and we kind of went over that with them.
And I think we could be a little more newsy, more informative. I think there's a lot of things that we're missing. I think take the puzzle out, put some information in for people.
Okay, what kind of?
I myself read it. I don't know how many other people read it, but to me, that's what we're paying for. Why aren't we being newsy? That's all.
Like, is there something you have in mind?
Well, I looked at past Village Voices and they were a lot more newsy,
I would
a
tell
lot more
you,
informative.
if you're looking for content, just go back and pick out the most impactful things that pass through the board.
Even the downtown stuff that's going on, that would be
Say,
helpful.
you could create actions, this is what's changed in the village kind of section. If you're looking for something, that would be.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of some of the issues we had is there was always the same stuff that was just kind of recycled every other year. And
Which is okay. Updated,
Yeah.
or there's new
Right.
people in the village and I don't know. I think
Right.
we could be better with that Village Voice.
yeah, I think we're open to adding more stuff.
Okay, perfect. Any other questions for Nathan? Okay, G, building permit report, it is in the packet. H, any other miscellaneous topics for future discussion? There are none. 11, communication and miscellaneous business. A, Black Otter Lake District News, Bob?
Nothing new. Our next meeting is April 9th at 5:30.
Okay. And B, Hortonville, Hortonia Fire District News, Jim?
Nothing new.
And C, Gold Cross Ambulance Run Report and News, it is not in the packet. D, Hortonville Civic Association, Jane?
Nothing new.
And E, Senior Activities, Jane?
There's information in the packet.
Okay, then 12, comments and suggestions from citizens present. Is there anything? Okay, 13, I would need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned at 6:45.